I'm Connor Old, and welcome back to another episode of Old's Oscar Countdown. And this is a bit of a surprise episode, an irregular episode, because I want to cover last night's Bafta Awards. If you don't know, the Bafta Awards are the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, I believe, and they're the British sort of group of the Academy in a lot of ways. They share about 500 voters, and it's one of the most, I think, to me, important precursors to telling us who could win at the Oscars. And we could very well see a lot of repeats in these categories at the Oscars, like we do year after year, even though, they do miss Best Picture quite often, and certain, acting biases can occur, but they do tell us a lot, especially about the technical categories, and just sort of the overall feel of the Academy, especially in a race that's so tight. There's only so many, SAG split, Green Book won PGA, Black Panther won SAG, DGA went to Alfonso. There's so many different movies that could win Best Picture. BAFTA really cleared it up by giving Roma the Best Picture, which I actually predicted going into the awards night. Some people thought The Favourite, because it did so well, overall actually did very well with the award show, but did not win Best Picture, won Best British Film, I believe. So really with that Roma win, my front runner, which is what I would have went into Oscar night, tells us a lot. Tells us the British Academy really likes this film. So that's going to be a lot of the members voting, for Roma, supposedly, over something like The Favourite, which was maybe sort of the more British film. And to say that The Favourite won, it could have been a potential spoiler at the Oscars. But I think that The Favourite's loss actually sort of hurts its chances at the Oscars exponentially, because it's such a British movie, and the British didn't even give it its Best Picture. So with Roma going into the night, it has the DGA award for Best Director. It also has the BAFTA. Those are two crucial awards. Those are more than Green Book, more than Black Panther, more than some of these other awards. So going into the night, it's going to be hard for me not to predict Roma. Could say, let's go through all the Best Pictures. So Roma has those two going for it. This Green Book, which I think is the next best possibility because it won PGA, has a preferential ballot, which is similar to the Oscars versus BAFTAs. We could very well see a win there, but I'm worried about controversy. I'm worried about just sort of overall love of the film. Roma is a film that could be sort of very boring to a lot of people, so it could get a #1 vote, could get a last place vote. So what we're really looking, because of the preferential ballot, is the least least favorite sort of the least hated kind of movie, the one that's sort of the consensus agreement that's a good movie. And Green Book could be that. It's a crowd pleaser. It's very well liked. It makes you feel good, but it's definitely old school Hollywood. It's not traditional the way sort of art house they've been sort of predicting as of recent. But they have been running a good campaign. That being said, Roma's doing a lot of campaigning as well on the ground, really trying to take over that Netflix bias. So Green Book and Roma, I think, are the next two competitors. Black Panther won SAG, but I'd be surprised just because even at the BAFTAs, it didn't surprise with a costume design or production design win. It didn't get nominated for director, didn't get a screenplay, didn't get editing, didn't get an acting. I mean, it would be a huge shocker for me if Black Panther won. That's all I'm going to say. But it could be, that sort of a statement pick for sure. Then we have, something like The Favourite, which I discussed because it lost here. I think it's going to go, its chances are slim. Bohemian Rhapsody, that's probably not going to win because it hasn't really won anywhere despite being nominated. What else am I saying? Vice did pretty well here, although its lack of support in the acting races definitely hurts its chances. And then Black Klansman, it's been doing well, but it's been nominated everywhere, and similar to Bohemian Rhapsody, hasn't won anything. So even with Spike not winning for director, or it's pretty much going to get that adapted screenplay win for sure, and that's about it, I think. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it won. It's definitely up in my predictions. It's like the Black Klansman, Green Book, and Roma are about right neck and neck, and I think Green Book and Roma are really the two that we're really looking at. And right now I'm going with Roma, just because of the industry support, the numbers, the statistics tell me that could be, really influential, despite the BAFTAs actually being wrong pretty recently in a row. They were early, when the preferential ballot actually did its first start, they were pretty good predictions of it, guessing Hurt Locker, King's Speech, and whatnot. But going into the acting races, pretty much Rami Malek and Mahershala Ali for Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor. They've got those locked up. I'm not going to veer away from those too far because they've won everything. Those are the ones that are sort of safe bets. I wouldn't go against them, even though Richard E. Grant, I don't think has a chance if he didn't win a BAFTA or SAG or Globes. I mean, this is really Mahershala's award to lose. Similarly with Rami. That being said, The next sort of acting race, the actress race, was a little more interesting because it was sort of Glenn's season. And then all of a sudden Olivia Colman wins. Now this does make sense. She's a British actress, a British favourite. She's done a lot of sort of TV and plays. She's sort of just introducing now herself into movies. She does a really great job in the movie, and it's very much a traditional British role. They like that movie a lot. They like the actors nominating all three. So I wasn't surprised that the BAFTAs went their own way and gave it to Olivia Colman. That's why I still am going with Glenn Close going to Oscar night, because Glenn still has sort of momentum in a lot of ways. I don't think this sort of stilted her too much. I think that with the SAG, which is a televised award, she had a great speech. Golden Globe, she had a standing ovation, which is a televised award. She tied for Critics' Choice, and this is a season where the people really rallying behind Glenn. This is her 7th nomination. This narrative is sort of happening. You sort of understand it, and you know, I was actually, you know, I wasn't super surprised that Olivia Colman won at BAFTAs. I just don't think it's going to slow down her momentum so much. The BAFTAs do generally go their own way in 1 or 2 categories, especially for the actings. They like to go their own way. So personally, I wasn't surprised by this, and I'm not too worried about this because I still think Glenn had a lot of momentum going into Oscar night. She won SAG, right? So that's an important industry precursor. So it's not just the Globes or critics. You know, she did win SAG, which is important. And then the hung up that I'm having is Best Supporting Actress. And I think that's what everyone's having. So I'm going to try to clarify this race here, at least the way I look at it. So it's between Regina King and Rachel Weisz, in my mind. Regina King, you know, this is pretty much an exact same scenario in 2016, and I don't know if I'm going to follow the scenario. If you don't know, 2016 Oscars was Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone was nominated for the Globes. So he won the Globes. He did not get nominated for SAG. He did not get nominated for BAFTA. And then everyone was predicting him on Oscar night to win, and he didn't. He lost to Mark Rylance, which was the BAFTA winner that year. And he wasn't nominated for the SAG, and who the SAGs go for? Beast of No Nation, Idris Elba, right? And that performance wasn't nominated at the Oscars. So we had the exact same scenario, but with the supporting actress scenario. Regina King was nominated at the Globes, or won at the Globes, wasn't nominated at SAG, wasn't nominated at BAFTA, nominated at the Oscars, and the SAG winner was Emily Blunt for A Quiet Place, who was not nominated. And then we have Rachel Weisz for BAFTA. So will it be the same scenario? Will it be a Mark Rylance scenario where everyone votes Regina King? And surprise, it's Rachel Weisz, because, you know, of course it is, because that's the industry precursor. It's so hard to tell, because Regina King, yes, it's kind of a dumb thing to say, but she's kind of a winner when she's in these industry awards, whether it be the Emmys, which she 3 out of 4 surprise wins, or the Globes, or sort of, you know, these industry type awards, or sort of when she is nominated, she wins for this performance. People really do like her, but that snub in the SAG and the BAFTA really hurt her. We haven't seen any industry support from her whatsoever. We've seen critical support. We've seen with the Critics' Choice win. We've seen the Globe support, which, you know, is something. You know, they definitely like her. I think she's an actress that they like versus something like Sylvester Stallone, who maybe they have sort of a standoffish relationship with. The problem is the film is going to be hard to reward, especially if they're rewarding the wife. So reward another acting performance from a film that's not been nominated really hurts those chances. Plus, with the BAFTA win of Rachel getting in for Best Supporting Actress and Olivia Colman getting for Best Actress, the British Academy definitely likes this acting. You know, the acting in this movie, the acting in the favors sort of stand out for a lot of people. So it could be a scenario. I don't know what I'm going to go into. In a lot of ways, my heart says Regina King, and I don't know if I can stray away and sort of maybe think with my brain a little bit more. The numbers, at least, are in Rachel Weisz's favor. Why? Because she was nominated at SAG. She didn't win, but she was nominated. At least, you know, she was nominated at the Globes. She won BAFTA. She beat out her co-star Emily Blunt, and, you know, that was the thing. That was the concern, was that will she knock out, you know, will they sort of split the vote between Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz because they have very similar roles? That being said, you know, movies from you know, performances that have been nominated from the same movie in the same year don't necessarily always sweat. You know, back in the 80s with Amadeus, F. Murray Abraham, one against his co-star, well, I'm forgetting Tom, I'm blanking on his name, unfortunately. And then, you know, last year we saw Sam Rockwell beat out Woody Harrelson, so he won. Melissa Leo was nominated with Amy Adams from The Fighter, in which Melissa Leo won that year. However, we do see splits occasionally. You know, something like Viola Davis and Amy Adams were both nominated for Doubt. So, there could be sort of that split scenario, but don't necessarily always assume that when they're both nominated from the same movie that there's going to be a split. I am still worried about the split because those characters are very similar, but Emma Stone just won recently. Maybe they're just giving her sort of a nod, because she just won so recently. They like her right now. But Rachel Sorr she's won, but hasn't won in a while. I'm conflicted. I really am. I may go for Regina King. Maybe the dumb decision, but my heart goes for Regina King instead of Rachel Weisz, even though the numbers and sort of the stats and the industry precursors tell us that's Rachel Weisz. Maybe I'll fall down this road again. Maybe I won't. I'm going back and forth. It's going to be so hard to predict for Oscars night. Now I'm just going to go through some of the categories and talk about some of the stuff I missed and just quickly brief over some things that it tells us, because there's so many different categories. Like I talked about, the technical categories, also very important here. Best Original Screenplay, The Favourite. This is a huge win because The Favourite's not eligible for the WGAs. So that, if Green Book could definitely win that and sort of boost the chances for WGA. But a lot of the controversy surrounds around Nick Vallelonga, one of the screenwriters, and his some sort of past in terms of tweets and whatnot. There's some controversy around that, so that could hurt its screenplay, because in the screenplay the names do show up on the ballot. So for The Favourite, this definitely boosts its chances for Best Original Screenplay. Best Adapted Screenplay, Black Klansman. Like I said in my locks video, that's pretty much a lock at this point. Best Original Music, this is hard to tell because it went to A Star Is Born, which should tell us Shallow, which is going to win Best Song, which is a lock. But for the BAFTAs, they don't have the Best Score category, so we don't know going to Oscar night, is it going to be If Beale Street Could Talk? Is it going to be Black Panther? What's going to be that score winner? Film not in English language, Roma, that was huge because it didn't go to Cold War and didn't sort of surprise, and Cold War was very well liked. It was also nominated for Best Director here at the BAFTAs, so that's something to watch out for. Another one I want to talk about, really interesting, Best Documentary, Free Solo. This one beat out Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It also beat out another favorite, Three Identical Strangers. So going into the Oscars night, it's going to be hard for me to pick, Free Solo's been, like in IMAX, it's definitely more of a popular Oscar film. So I may go with that, but Ruth Bader Ginsburg is definitely more of the fit they've been doing recently in terms of the political. It feels relevant, it feels timely. It's going to be hard because I think the Free Solo sort of threw a wrench into the documentary race. So maybe Ruth Bader Ginsburg is not as much as a lock as some people thought. I never thought it was a huge lock, but Free Solo is definitely, watch out for that. Animated film, they went to Spider-Man for the Spider-Verse. I'm assuming the Academy will follow suit, even though it's, not Pixar. I think they'll just say, oh, I guess Spider-Man's the animated film we want to reward this year. It still has name capture. I still think they're going to go with Spider-Man, even though, watch out for the Incredibles, upset. It could happen. Don't be surprised. Outstanding British Film, The Favourite. Cinematography, Roma. That one should go to Alfonso as well on Oscar night. Once again, they didn't go with something like Cold War, which would have been a surprise. Editing for Vice, that's huge because, the Ace Eddie Awards for Best Drama went to Bohemian Rhapsody, but for Best Comedy, The Favourite beat out Vice. So the Ace Eddie Awards didn't go with Vice, but the BAFTAs did go for Vice here. In recent years, where the Ace Eddies and the BAFTAs have split, recently I think it was Arrival won for Best Drama at Ace Eddies, and I think there was then a comedy film won something else, and then Hacksaw Ridge won at BAFTAs, and that was ultimately the editing winner. We've also seen this with I, Tonya got nominated, got one at the Eddies last year, and then what won last year for Best Editing? Dunkirk, which also went to BAFTAs, but I think that also won at Ace Eddies. Anyways, the point is, this is Vice won BAFTA, Bohemian Rhapsody and The Favourite won Ace Eddies. It's going to be interesting to see. Pretty much for me, it's going to be Bohemian Rhapsody or Vice. I might go for Vice just because BAFTA's been recently pretty good at predicting editing. Production design and costume design both went to The Favourite, which hurts Black Panther's chances. I could see a scenario with maybe Black Panther surprises with costume design win, but The Favourite's so traditionally costume design heavy. I'm probably going to go with that for costume design and production design. Makeup and hair, The Favourite surprise won here instead of Vice. That hurts its chances. Vice is still going to win because The Favourite's hasn't been nominated for makeup and hair. Best sound, Bohemian Rhapsody. That tells me that I could definitely see it winning in best sound mixing over something like A Star Is Born, and then maybe First Man or A Quiet Place wins for best sound editing. And then special visual effects went to Black Panther. That's not nominated at the Oscars, so that just doesn't clarify things in terms of if it's going to be Avengers Infinity War or First Man. My prediction is First Man because I'm not sure that much is a lock in terms of best sound editing. That's about it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Those are my BAFTA reactions on all the categories. Stay tuned to this Friday where I'm going to be uploading my tech categories and breaking down all the tech categories and real in depth based on this and sort of the Guild Awards that will be coming out. That's about it, guys. And then, after that, it's going to be the Oscar final predictions. I'm going to have a video in terms of I'm going to break down all 24 categories and talk about my final predictions on the Friday before the Sunday of the Oscars. It'll be the 22nd. That's about it, guys. I hope you guys enjoy the episode. And until next time, stay tuned.